Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about spending your spare time coding. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I am a CS major. Do I have to spend all my spare time coding? Yes, you do. And ideally you should only leave yourself the barest minimum amount of time to eat and sleep, and everything else should be spent learning how to write better software. Now I'm just half joking now, because the reality of your situation is that most of you who are getting your first job, you're going to have to compete for that first job with quite a lot of people. Um, the demand for software developers who have experience is sky high. There is such a deficit that it's insane. Getting a job as an experienced developer is like almost nothing in comparison to most other professions. I mean, it's a luxury. It's actually to the point where many programmers feel that it's annoying to have so many recruiters contact you for job positions. Even if you don't look for a job, they don't care. They just spam you all the time. And so that's a pretty great situation. But for someone who is like in school or someone who's going to get your first job, it might be a little bit rougher, because basically you have no value, because the thing that is valued is actual work experience. And so what you're actually doing is that you're trying to, like, the vast majority of companies are not looking for people with your profile. So there's only a small portion of companies who are looking for junior experiences. And I think that I was reading this article yesterday where they showed their recruitment numbers, and the numbers that they have were actually pretty similar to my own, or to the ones that I've had at my current company and my last company as well. So their numbers were, they had interviewed around 5,000 candidates for their company. Of those 5,000, they got the only 177 got to the second stage, and of those 177, 63 got an actual offer. So you can the numbers are enormous, guys. We're talking about the surplus of sort of good developers, or people who can sort of do the job, is absolutely enormous. And most of them are not they're not going to make it through the pipeline, because they don't have the skills, or because I mean, guys, I know that it might be convenient for you to think that, oh no, the companies are they just have unreasonable expectations, or they only like they are not realistic. And the thing is, guys, as someone who's had more than a few jobs at this point, and I know who I work with, I can tell you that yes, there are some companies who really have like outlandish requirements, but the average company, it's not like this is like the it's not like you're trying to get into the Olympics. It is hard to get all the skills that you need in order to get into a company, but it's not beyond anybody. It's not something like the companies aren't always for the most part, they're just looking for someone who can do the job. And because we have so many tools and so much stuff to learn and know about in software development, it actually is a big investment to become a professional software developer. There's so much that it is unfeasible for someone who has just a few months of experience to swing that they are going to be valuable to the company. They're not. Most of the time you're not going to be valuable. You're going to be a big waste of time, and for some companies, an investment. And that's what you're looking to do, basically, to prepare yourself for the first job. You need to bridge the gap between being a rookie or a beginner programmer to being a sort of productive junior as much as possible. And that comes down to coding skills. The further you can get, the closer you can get to a self-reliant, productive software developer, the more attractive you will be. But you should also know that the competition for the slots of a junior, they're pretty high. There are so many sort of coders that are trying to get their foot in the door. And I mean, nobody's like, the industry isn't stupid. That's why most of them are not hiring you, because they know that once you get your first job, you have your foot in the door, and now that company is going to practically more or less put you through your paces. They're going to be, I mean, you can of course stay in that company, but for a lot of companies who hire juniors, they are just a stepping stone for the junior to go to the next thing. And people are aware of this, guys. You are aware of that you need your first job to prove that you're valuable so that you can get into the IT club, and the people hiring people are often also very aware of that you might be treated as a stepping stone. So it's a complicated situation, and that's why, as I've said before, you really need to prove that you're going to be valuable. And I'm very sorry to say that in the beginning of your career, you're most likely going to have to invest quite a lot in your spare time and make sacrifices to make that happen if you really want to be a professional. The thing that I can tell you though that is very nice is that once you have shown that you have what it takes and you have a few years of experience, the vast majority of programmers, they start to relax. Now, that is a different type of thing, and there's a danger with that as well, to be too lax about your personal progression. But after you have that proof, you're like human gold. You will have no most of the time you're not going to have any problems finding employment or opportunities. So you can like in some cases the programmers become so lazy that they kind of just like they basically just sit around, do some coding and cash in. That's not all programmers, but there's quite a lot of them. I would even go as far as to say that for a lot of companies it's the norm, and that's why you hear companies constantly asking for rockstar programmers, because the norm is lazy programmer who doesn't really push it and don't really care. They just output code based on what you ask them to build. So what I want you to take away from this is that I'm sorry to say that yes, if you are a CS major or a rookie programmer, then you're going to have to spend most of your time in your spare time coding. Some of you are going to be lucky. Some of you are going to be able to get into a company without all that much work. But for the vast majority of you, the first job is going to be the toughest, because it is the gateway. It is it's the way that you get your foot in the door. And most companies are not looking for you to be the stepping stone for somebody's career. There is a much smaller portion of companies that are looking for junior level programmers or entry level programmers than there are looking for experienced ones. The people who are looking for experienced programmers is so enormous that I can't even explain it and give it justice. You have to be one to understand how many recruiters and opportunities that you have just basically falling into your lap. But as a fresh developer, you're basically worth nothing. And considering how many people are trying to get into the industry, you're going to have quite a lot of competition for those positions. So you have to stand out. And you stand out by going the extra mile. The people who go and do some basic coding and like don't try to push it, they're going to be in they're just going to be in the way for most companies. They're not even going to get to the interviewing stage. Have a great day.